Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating, it's Tuesday, July 14th, Bastille Day, 2015. Ra, Asha, Pan, and Luce in the Lynn-Body-Mind. Black Wolf and Fritz in the Jamie-Body-Mind. Other teammates in other dimensions. And there's an awful lot going on. We don't know where our focus is supposed to be for the videoed portion of our effort today. So we'll go with the foundational assignment, which is to do what is ours to do in all dimensions right now, to provide a collective restart right now, and in such a way to trigger the awakening right now. And with that, it begins. What do I know? I know that when there are too many open items on the table that we drop balls. It's
That's
like
true.
juggling, and when we have too many balls in the air, we drop things.
That's true.
And we already have several significant balls in play with
That's
this
true.
overall assignment to find and correct our original errors, all of them, as many original errors as we need to correct in order to provide a collective restart.
That's true.
And trigger the awakening, and we'll know we've done it because our awareness will wink out.
That's true.
We have a lot of balls in play. For
That's
example,
true.
we have Pan working with the nature realms errors.
That's true.
Where it just wasn't ever part of the original discussion or programming for
That's
the
true.
nature realms that truth should be continually present.
That's true.
The programming was for survival of the species or survival of the fittest
That's
rather
true.
than survival of truth.
That's true.
And that's okay. And now that discussion is in play in the nature realms. There are town caucuses,
Yes, that's true.
open forums of discussion where this question that has been put forth by the guardian of the nature realms, by Pan as the
Yes.
guardian of the nature realms,
That's true.
and the question is being discussed. Does anything matter
Matter
more
more.
than survival of the truth?
That is the conversation.
And again, it feels very much like it's an open conversation.
Right.
And that there isn't anybody being weird. They're
No.
actually
Bringing up ideas and then taking them apart.
thoughtful discussion
Yes.
is occurring.
That's true.
So far, nothing has been promulgated. No ideas have been promulgated that
No.
matter more than survival of the truth.
That's true.
And survival of the truth doesn't seem to be in conflict with the basic intention of the nature realms, which seems to be something along the lines of grow and become abundant.
That's true. Huh, that's true.
So there hasn't been a roadblock, no hurdle, no ba-boomp.
No.
They're just continuing on in the road of deciding whether or not that programming needs to be adjusted, and if so, if the consensus of the nature realms is as Pan's own consensus has been, which
Yes.
is this was a flaw in the original programming, I'd like to change this programming, then presumably we will move to correct this error, and that might be a big huge shift.
That's true.
Now we also have in play Luce down in the subatomic levels,
That's true.
intending to rescue Charlie,
That's true.
and intending to do it according to instructions,
That's
because
true.
our soul plan is what we're supposed to do, when we're supposed to do it, the way in which we're supposed to do it. And his assignment is really clear. Don't just kick down Sauron's door and get Charlie off the torture chamber floor.
Right.
Don't do that.
No.
That's not how we're supposed to do this. But somehow rescue Charlie by melting that part of the all that is.
That's true.
And what he's really supposed to be doing is incorporating the takedowns that are occurring in other dimensions.
That's true.
Because Luce himself has already dismantled that part of the structure that he himself built.
That's true.
And yet the dismantling has not made its way into the physical.
That's true.
And so here we can see how it is, looking up through Luce's eyes, and he's reaching up.
That's true.
And it's as if that melting sky is something tangible that he can
grab with his hands.
yes,
That's true.
and pull down the meltingness
That's true.
right through himself and keep it coming down. And I as Pan am here back to back with me as Luce,
That's true.
holding the space, holding a pillar, a stable space, keeping stable in truth below and truth above, so that Luce can do this maneuver.
That's true.
And it occurs to me that Luce is only drawing from one direction, and perhaps he should also reach
from
down,
below,
right?
reach down and draw up.
With this same maneuver that he's used since Asha's emblem began to become apparent to us, where he reaches down through a portal, grabs the right thing, and pulls it up through himself.
That's true.
Handing it up to his higher self. Wow, this is something that we saw, it could have been 2 years ago, a triangle point moving up, intersecting with a triangle point moving down. They are moving toward each other, and I know that the assignment is to have them intersect with each other
That's
and
true.
move past each other in some way, shape, or form.
That's true.
Just as we have left the nature realms to have their discussion, which is working,
Yes.
we can see that Luce and Pan are working structurally, and that is working.
That's true.
Now perhaps we can move to another ball that's in the air, which is the researchers way
Yes,
up high.
That's true.
Where Ra has much higher soul of Ra has finally been almost awakened
Right, that's true.
by Asha, who is saying, Ra, you're being cruel. Stop
cruel.
the experiment. This
That's
is
true.
cruel. And that word, cruel, gets through.
That's true. Asha started with other things, and when she hit that's cruel, that was
That
the
got
snap.
through.
She was saying, this is crazy, this is over the line, you have to
This
stop
is
this.
wrong, stop.
And it was just kind of flashing, and then, this is cruel.
Being. He said, oh my
Oh
God.
my God.
You're right. I am
That's
in
true.
the experiment too.
That's true.
I have to stop this. How does one do it?
That's true. And then he called in all the other researchers who were involved in the experiment.
And we all see,
Sat.
oh my gosh, we have to
we
stop
have to
it.
stop this. That's true.
And we see how this happened is that we
Right.
were building a model to see if we could figure out how to trigger the awakening, because
Yes.
things weren't working like they should.
That's true.
And we just took cheek
Swabs.
swabs
That's
of
true.
our own DNA, and we said, well, we'll just make a little model and we'll just use our own DNA.
That's
and
true.
so this is fine. It's just ourselves. We're
That's
not
true.
hurting anyone else. And we asked people in the hallways, basically, does anybody else want to donate some DNA?
That's
and that's
true.
where we got Charlie's DNA.
Took some
and
spores
Betty
from the plant in
Jean's.
the office.
Yes.
Yeah.
And said, okay, now we have life. We have life here.
That's true.
Let's give it the assignment. Give the assignment to live the soul plan. Give everyone the assignment to live the soul plan.
That's true.
And see what works. So I think maybe just with tuning, possibly
That's
just
my
got the
story.
vibration as close to a match of what the ambient vibration was in the all that is that we could get.
Yes.
And said, all right, this is as close to a model of what all that is
Yes, that's true.
as we're able to get with primarily our own DNA.
That's true.
And some
A little bit of outside
volunteers,
DNA.
a little bit of outside DNA.
That's true.
And what we really missed is that everything is sentient.
Sentient.
Even those cheek swabs are sentient.
That's true.
And there's the underline,
That's true.
the siren. We just miss that everything is sentient.
That's
Knowing
true.
it at one level conceptually isn't enough
That's
to
true.
not make mistakes like that. And so we can now see that that was a mistake. It was
That's
just an
true.
error. True. We learned a lot.
That's true.
We learned a lot. We learned that the non-physical beings will do horrible things, that they will exploit the physical because they feel
That's
like they
true.
have power over them, possibly. I don't know the becauses yet. Reasons are
true.
harder to discern than we can observe. Observable actions are the non-physical became exploiters of
Yeah,
the physical.
that's true.
And they even did cruel things, creating an unwinnable game that
Right.
is designed to be unwinnable. And we give people ironclad soul contracts to
Right.
trigger the awakening no matter what anyone else does or doesn't do. And then by design, as soon as a door starts to open up, they close off
That's
that
true.
hallway and just make it unwinnable.
That's
The point
true.
of the game is for it to be unwinnable.
That's true. There's no way out of the maze. The
That's-
rats just run in the maze.
And so
That's
those
true.
games are inappropriate.
Cruel.
And we see non-physical beings,
Right.
level after level after level, sitting on the balcony saying basically, too bad for you. Oh gracious, that looks terrible down there in
Right,
the physical,
that's
too
true.
bad for you.
Right.
And then we see, once the horror begins to become apparent, that there are good, well-intentioned people who say, I've got to do something, and then jump in and within 15 seconds lose their bearings and are then making things worse, not better.
That's true. Get sucked into the world of the experiment.
Yes.
That's true.
So if that whole thing was an error, let's just do an error correction. Now we have to find the original error, and my story is it's not really deeply, fully knowing.
Everything is sentient.
sentient with a value potentially
Potentially
greater than my own.
That's true.
And how to live with this awareness.
That's true.
Ulysses seems to be one of the experimenters
Yeah, that's
here,
true.
and he seems like a really good guy.
That's
and he
true.
seems like he donated a lot of DNA,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
that his DNA, I guess, hybridized to
Yeah.
form a whole clan
That's
of very
true.
smart, very persistent people.
Oh, that's true.
And he feels like as long as he's only hurting himself and all his progeny, that's totally fine.
That's true.
Again, forgetting it's all sentient, it's actually
true.
suffering. But now, how may we be of service right now to provide a collective restart
right
right now? Again, I see the Will Hunting
Yes, I
character, the
see
guy
him
who's
too.
taking apart the Tinker
Tinker
Toy
Toys.
models, and seems to be Fritz, a higher
Yes,
soul of
this is
Fritz.
true.
And just as the higher soul of Luce has dismantled an experiment and is now
Yes.
trying to get it down into the subatomic,
That's true.
and this higher soul of Ra is ending the experiment, and now the challenge will be to integrate it into the experiment itself, down
That's
into
true.
the subatomic. And Fritz has dismantled that Tinker Toy model, and now the challenge is how to integrate this into the physical.
That's true.
Chances are good that there are other eras. Asha's original eras, Pan's original eras,
Black Wolf.
Black Wolf's original eras,
That's true.
still to be discovered and corrected, and have the correction then integrated.
That's true.
Well, here we still have this river of errors that we've been working with all day, the kind of pussy river
That's
of
true.
errors. Work with that structurally.
That's true.
And we can intend to exceed expectations. Let's tune to an even better pitch. Let's start with truth. I actually believe that Pan's starting point is a valid starting
That's true.
point. I feel like I'm raw right now.
Yes, that's true.
And that is a valid starting point. Let's just begin with truth. Tune to truth. All aspects of self who can hear this, let's tune to truth. It's like when we do the higher soul refreshes. Maybe we just zap this
it.
with electricity.
That's true.
Zapping ourselves
Right.
through us,
through us,
being the live wire through which the electric current is delivered.
That's true.
Not delivering deadly shocks to
those
people,
people.
but actually being the wire, being the carrier,
That's
sharing
true.
in the experience. Well, the alarm showed what's most important, other than truth. What's perhaps equally important to the continued presence of truth is the continued awareness that everything is sentient, and
That's
everything
true.
actually means everything.
Everything.
Everything means everything.
Everything. That's true.
And now what?
Right.
And now what?
That's true.